Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Dai and today I am bringing you the last part of my manga collection video series. In this section there will be some manhwa or Korean comics, some raw manga, as well as a couple light novels. So let's get into this final section of my manga collection. First up I have volumes 1 through 16 of the Yowamushi Pedal Omnibus editions. This one's by Wataru Watanabe and published by Yen Press. I cannot fit all of the volumes on screen, so here you're seeing volumes 1 through 8. And I have not yet read this series. We have watched the anime a couple times, and it's a series that I really enjoy. Here are volumes 9 through 16. And we also have 2 volumes of the manga in the raw editions. My daughter is studying Japanese. I cannot read these, but she is studying to be able to read these. Not sure if she can read them yet, but eventually she'll be able to read these. We have volumes 1 through 30 of Kuroko's Basketball by Tadatoshi Fujimaki. This one's published by Viz. We have not yet read this series, or at least I haven't. I think my daughter might have, but we have watched the anime several times. It's also another one that we enjoy very much. Again, all of the volumes would not fit on screen, so here you're seeing volumes 1 through 16, and here we have volumes 17 through 30. And we also have the raw editions of Extra Game, which was adapted into the movie, which we have also seen and really enjoyed. We have volumes 1 through 14 of The Royal Tutor by Higasa Akai. This one is published by Yen Press. I have read volume 1, but I haven't read past that. I know my daughter's read to about volume 11, I think. We have watched the anime and really enjoyed it. We have volumes 1 through 27 of Full Metal Alchemist by Hiromu Arakawa. This one's published by Viz. We have them in the 3-in-1 editions. I have read this first omnibus, but I have not yet read the rest of this series. We have watched the anime adaptation as well as Brotherhood and really enjoy both of those. We also watched the live action adaptation that was on Netflix and enjoyed that as well. We have volumes 1 through 14 of Seraph of the End Vampire Reign. This one was published by Viz. Story by Takaya Kagami, art by Yamato Yamamoto, storyboard by Daisuke Furuya. This one is one that my daughter has read the entirety of. I have not yet read this series. However, I have tried to watch the anime, and it should be something that I really enjoy, but I just haven't had the pull to watch it. I think I've watched like 4 episodes, and yeah, I should probably try to read this manga and see how I feel about that, but I have not read it. My daughter has. She says she's read them all, regrettably. She is looking forward to getting more in this series, and so I will be happy to oblige her in collecting those. We also have volumes 1 through 4 of the light novels. This is Seraph of the End Guren Ichinose Catastrophe at 16. Story by Takaya Kagami. Art by Yamato Yamamoto. I have not yet read these. My daughter has not yet read these. And so it is something I'm looking forward to getting into. Maybe I should try this first. In any case, it is something that I will probably get to in the future. We have Servamp volumes 1 through 14 by Strike Tanaka. This one is published by 7 Seas. This is a series that we have watched the anime for. My daughter has read the entirety of what we own. I have not yet read these, but I do want to because I really did enjoy the anime. Most of the manga that you're seeing right now lives in my daughter's room, which is why she's read most of it. I have volumes 1 through 6 of Merman in My Tub. This one was published by 7 Seas. Story and art by Itokichi. I think we're only missing 1 volume to complete this series. My daughter has read these and enjoyed them. I have not yet read these, but she says they're hilarious. So I'm looking forward to getting to it when I can. We have volumes 1 through 3, 13 through 16, and 20 through 23 of Naruto by Masashi Kishimoto. This one's published by Viz. My daughter has watched most of this anime. I've watched the entirety of Naruto, but just some of Shippuden. I did find it entertaining, but I'm not sure that it's a story that I want to read. And same thing with my daughter. Collecting this series is not a priority for us. The volumes we have, we either got at a library book sale or we got at a second-hand bookstore, our favorite second-hand bookstore, which is Book Off. So that's why there are so many gaps, and we just pick them up as we can, as we see them. Mostly as we see them. We don't really go looking for volumes of this, but yeah, that's Naruto. I have volumes 1 through 14 of Tokyo Ghoul by Sui Ishida. This one is published by Viz. My daughter has read this, but I have not. It does sound like something I'd be interested in, but I have yet to get to it. We have also not watched the anime yet, but I hear a lot of great things about this series, and it seems like it's going to be something that I enjoy, so I'm looking forward to getting into this one later as well. I have volumes 1 through 41 of Haikyuu by Haruichi Furudate. This one is published by Viz. I have read up to volume 33 or 34. My daughter is up to date. This is one that we are actively collecting. And just a reminder, this is our collection as of December 31st, 2020. So I may have an additional volume sitting on my shelf right now, but this is what we had at the end of 2020. So since all of the volumes could not fit on screen, I'm showing you volumes 1 through 16 right now. Here's volumes 17 through 32. We have watched this anime 4 or 5 times in its entirety. It's one we really enjoy, and we do own the Blu-rays of seasons 1 through 3. Here are volumes 33 through 41, and we have this one raw volume. This is volume 9. This is probably the series that my daughter has the most merch for, as far as shirts and Nendroids and rubber bracelets. Lanyards, keychains. Yeah, this is a series that is well loved in my household. We have volume 1 of Monochrome Factor. This one's published by Tokyo Pop and is by Kylie Sorano. We have it in the translated edition here, and we also have the raw version. I have not yet read this volume, but my daughter has. We have some random volumes coming up. This is volume 1 of Peacemaker by Nanae Chorono. This one's published by Tokyo Pop. I have not yet read this one. We have volume 1 of Aventura. This one is by Shin Midorikawa and is published by Del Rey. I have not read this volume yet. We have Yume Kira Dream Shop. This one is by Aqua Mizuto and is published by Viz. I have read this one and I really enjoyed it. We have volume 1 of Mogumi plus Senki. This one's by Eri Sakondo and is published by Tokyo Pop. I have not yet read this volume. We have volume 2 of Switch by Naked Ape, Saki Oto, and Nakamura Tomomi. This one is published by Viz. I believe I have read both volumes 1 and 2. I know I read volume 1 for sure. We borrowed it from our library. This is a series that is interesting to me, but it does deal with drugs. And I really need to find more of this series because I don't believe that my library had the rest of them to borrow. So, reminder to myself to look into this series more this year. I have volume 1 of Akame ga Kill. This one's by Takahiro, art by Tetsuya Tashiro. This one's published by Yen Press. We have read this volume. We read it for our manga book club when we were meeting, and we really enjoyed it, but we don't have any more of this series, so we really need to look into getting more of that also, because I'm interested to see where this story goes. We have volume 1 of Cafe Kichi Joji De. This one is by Kyoko Negishi and Yuki Miyamoto. This one's published by DMP. I have not yet read this volume. I have volume 1 of Sorceress Stabber Orphan, Heed My Call Beast Part 1. This one's published by 7 Seas, story by Yoshinobu Akita, art by Muraji. I have not yet read this volume. I have volume 1 of Black Torch, story and art by Tsuyoshi Takaki. This one is published by Viz. I have not yet read this volume. I have volume 1 of Tactics, story and art by Sakura Kinoshita and Kazuko Higashiyama. This one is published by Tokyo Pop. I have not yet read this volume. I have volume 4 of Hell Girl by Miyuki Eto, original story by the Jigoku Shoujo Project. This one is published by Del Rey. I have read a few volumes in the Hell Girl series. I'm not sure if I read this one. I would have to look on my Goodreads, but this is a series that we have watched several episodes of the anime for and really enjoy it, and I have enjoyed what I have read of this series as well. I have volume 1 of Psychic Academy by Katsuaki. This one is published by Tokyo Pop. I have not yet read this volume. I have volume 1 of The Witch of Artemis. This one's by Yui Hara and is published by Tokyo Pop. I have not yet read this volume. I have volume 1 of Smokin' Parade. This one is by Jinsei Kataoka and Kazuma Kondo. This one is published by Yen Press and I have not yet read this volume. I have volume 1 of Sword of the Dark Ones. This one is by Kotobuki Tsukasa from a story by Yasui Kentaro. This one was published by CMX and I have not yet read this volume. I have volume 1 of Moonlight Meow by Bambi Iloriaga and Roland Amago. This one is published by 7 Seas and I have not yet read this volume. I have volume 1 of Black Clover, story and art by Yuki Tabata. This one is published by Viz. I have read this volume. We read it for our manga book club and I really enjoyed it. I really do want to look more into this series, but we have not yet collected any more of it. We have these light novels from Tokyo Ghoul, Days and Void, original story by Sui Ishida, written by Shin Towada. We have not yet read these volumes. We have The Disappearance of Hatsune Miku, story by Muya Agami and Cosmo Bosup, art by Unagi. This one is published by 7 Seas. I have not yet read this, but most of the Hatsune Miku, or I should say all of the Hatsune Miku, is my daughter's. So we have volume 1 of Attack on Titan Junior High, story by Saki Nakagama and based on the original story by Hajime Isayama. This is the raw edition. We have these raw editions of Kono Oto Tomare. This is by Ami Yu. We have watched the anime for this, which is why we have these. We had seen these in Book Off, and since my daughter is learning Japanese, we thought it would be a good investment since it is a story that she is familiar with. I really enjoyed this anime, especially because it has to do with music and the koto, and yeah, I really enjoyed this anime. I wish this would be translated, but that's probably a long shot. I'll need to get my daughter to read these volumes to me. We have volumes 1 through 10 of Bloody Mary. This one is by Akaza Samamiya. This one's published by Viz. I have not yet read this series, but I think it's one that I will enjoy. We have volumes 1 through 11 of Persona 3. This one is published by Udon Entertainment. This one is by Shuji Sogabe and Atlas. I have not yet read this. I'm pretty sure my daughter has, though. She is a big fan of this franchise. She has played several of the games. So this will be a series that I am interested in visiting at some point. Then we have volumes 1 through 13 of Persona 4 by Shuji Sogabe and Atlas. This one is also published by Udon Entertainment. I actually have watched the Persona 4 anime and a lot of my daughter's gameplay in this one as well, so I'm pretty familiar with this. Again, I'll eventually get to this one because I did really enjoy what I've seen so far. We have volumes 1 through 4 of Persona Q, Shadow of the Labyrinth Side P4. This one was created by Atlas, manga by Mizu Nomoto, and published by Kodansha. I have not yet read these volumes. We also have volumes 1 and 2 in the raw editions of the manga. We have volumes 1 and 2 of Persona Q, Shadow of the Labyrinth Side P3. This one is created by Atlas, manga by So Tobita, published by Kodansha. I have not yet read these volumes. And we also own the raw editions. We have volumes 1 through 4 of Persona 5 by Hisato Murasaki. Original concept by Atlas. This one is published by Viz. I have not yet read these volumes, but my daughter is playing through the game at the moment, and I'm enjoying watching that. I have volumes 1 through 4 of The Seven Princes of the Thousand-Year Labyrinth. This one was published by Seven Seas, story by Atori Haruno, and art by Aikawa Yu. I have read this series. I have a series thoughts video on it on my channel in case you're interested of what I thought of it, but I did really enjoy this series. We have volumes 1 and 2 of Legends of the Dark Crystal. Volume 1 is the Gartham Wars, and Volume 2 is Trial by Fire. Volume 1 is by Barbara Randall Kessel, Heidi Arnhold, and Max Kim. Volume 2 is by Barbara Randall Kessel, Heidi Arnhold, and Jessica Feinberg. The Dark Crystal was not ever one of my favorite movies to watch. But my daughter really enjoyed that one, so when these came out, she was very interested in it. I have not yet read these volumes, but I do intend to eventually. I have volumes 1, 2, and 3 of The Elder Sister Like One by Iida Pochi. This one was published by Yen Press. I have read these 3 volumes. I have done a manga series sampler on it in case you're interested in my thoughts on it. I'm not sure if I'm going to be collecting any more of this, and you will hear my reasoning on that if you watch the manga series sampler video on it, but yeah, I'm conflicted on this series as of this moment. I have volumes 1 through 4 of Yokai Rental Shop. This one was published by Seven Seas, story and art by Shin Mashiba. I have read these volumes. I did enjoy the series, though I was kind of a little bit disappointed in where the story went. I think for me, there were definite things that could have been explored more, but all in all, I still really enjoyed this read. We have volumes 1 through 4 of Hatsune Miku Rin-chan Now. This one was published by Dark Horse. Original work by Sezu, manga by Hiro Tamura, supervised by Garuna Owatap. I have not yet read these volumes. I have volumes 1 through 4 of Hatsune Miku's Everyday Vocaloid Paradise, published by Seven Seas. This one, story and art by Otama. I have not yet read these volumes. And we also have Hatsune Miku Bad and Night, volumes 1 through 3, published by Seven Seas. Art by Tsubata Nozaki. Story by Hitoshi Zuku P and Yama. I have not yet read these volumes. We have Unofficial Hatsune Mix, story and art by K. This one was published by Dark Horse. I have not yet read this volume. We have volumes 1 through 16 of Bungo Stray Dogs. This one was published by Yen Press. Story by Kafka Asagiri, art by Sangu Harukawa. I have read up to volume 6 or 7, and I do really enjoy this series. We have also watched the first season of the anime and a couple episodes of the second season because I told my daughter we couldn't watch past where I have read. So I do need to read more of this series so that we can watch more of the anime. We have also watched the Bad Apple movie. We have volumes 1 through 10 of Carnival. This one's by Toya Mikanagi and published by Yen Press. I have not yet read these volumes, but my daughter has. I think we've watched 1 or 2 episodes of the anime together, and I thought it was interesting, but it didn't grab me at the time. I do eventually want to read these, though. We have volumes 1 through 8 of The Betrayal Knows My Name by Hotaru Odagiri. This one is published by Yen Press. I have read the first volume, and though I thought it was interesting, I was confused about a lot of it. I don't think I was in the right headspace when I was reading it to be able to focus on what I was reading. So I do want to reread volume 1 and continue on with the rest of the series eventually. We also have volumes 1 through 12 in the raw editions of the manga. I already showed you this volume of The Daily Lives of High School Boys by Yasunobu Yamauchi, but we also have the raw version of this volume in our collection. We also have volume 1 of One Piece in the raw edition by Eiichiro Oda. I showed you Happy Boys in a previous part. This is the raw edition by Makoto Tateno. We have volume 1 of Yokai Watch by Noriyuki Konishi in the raw edition. We have volumes 1 and 2 of Hetalia World Stars in the raw editions as well. And we have this raw edition of Smile Precure. You will notice that I have not told you who the mangakas are on these volumes because I can't read them. I have volumes 1 through 5 of An Incurable Case of Love by Maki and Joji. This one is published by Viz. I have not yet started to read this series. Because it is so short, I decided that I would just wait until all of the volumes were out and then I would read the entire thing in one go. I have read Happy Marriage by the same mangaka, and though I did find issues with it, I did enjoy it. I have also seen the live action Japanese drama adaptation and I enjoyed that more. So I am looking forward to getting into this story relatively soon because I believe there's only 1 or 2 volumes left, maybe 3, for this series to be complete. I have volumes 1, 2, and 3 of Love Me, Love Me Not by Io Sakisaka. This one is published by Viz. I have not yet read these volumes. I have volumes 1 and 2 of Scarlet Soul by Kira Yukishiro. This one was published by Tokyo Pop. I have not yet read these volumes. There hasn't been a release of this series in quite a while, so I'm not sure if it's on hiatus or what's up with that, but I was waiting for a 3rd volume to dig into this series. Not sure when that's going to happen, so I'm just holding on to these volumes for now. I showed you the manga edition of this earlier. This is the light novel of Juni Tyson, Zodiac War, story by Nishio, art by Hikaru Nakamura. This one was released by Viz. I have started to read it. I have been stuck at this point. Not sure if I just wasn't in the right headspace to read this at the time, but I definitely want to give this one a go. Like I said, I want to read this before I read the manga version of this. So I will be picking this up again this year. I will probably start over because it has been a while since I've picked this one up. But it is a very interesting story, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this all ends up. I have volumes 1 through 13 of D.N. Angel by Yukiru Sugisaki. This one was released by Tokyo Pop. I have not yet read most of this series. I believe I've read at least a couple of these volumes, but it has been a very, very long time since I have. At the time, I was borrowing them from my library because we had watched the anime adaptation, which I do also own. We really enjoyed that, and I believe this series was on a hiatus for a very, very long time. I'm pretty sure Viz has the license to this series now, so I'm hoping that we're going to get the rest of what is available sometime, but as of right now, there are only 13 volumes out. And it is a series that I really want to read through completion eventually. I have this volume of Haunted House by Mitsukazu Mihara. This one was published by Tokyo Pop. I have not yet read this volume. I have this volume of another original story by Yukito Ayatsuji, art by Hiro Kiyohara. This one was published by Yen Press, and it is a story that has intrigued me, though I have not yet read this volume. I am considering reading it for March Mystery Madness, though. We do have a prompt that it would fit. So, yeah, I might read through this. I have been meaning to read through this for March Mystery Madness for a couple years now and just haven't done it. Maybe this is the year to do that, but it is a story that interests me a lot. I have volumes 1 through 19 of Vampire Knight by Matsuri Hino. This one was published by Viz. You will notice that my first 5 volumes have these plastic manga covers on them. They had come when I had purchased the manga. I believe these were my very first purchased manga. Vampire Knight was definitely the first series that I started reading in the Shoujo Beat magazine. I have not yet read through this series. I have read several volumes. I'm not sure where I left off. So this is definitely a series I want to get through soon. I have seen both seasons of the anime and enjoyed it. I have volumes 1 through 17 of The Wallflower. This one is by Tomoko Hayakawa and is published by Del Rey. This is a series that you can see I got a lot of my volumes from a library book sale for 75 cents. We are slowly trying to collect the entirety of this series, but it is a rather old one and sometimes volumes are hard to find. But this is a series that I think I've read at least a couple volumes of. Again, I can't remember. It's been quite a while. But we have watched several episodes of the anime, and we have also watched the Japanese drama adaptation and really enjoyed it, which is what prompted us to start looking for these manga volumes. I have volumes 1 through 13 of Aoharu Ride by Iosaki Saka. This one is published by Viz. I have read the first volume. We read it for our manga book club when we were meeting, and I really enjoyed it, but I haven't read past that because, again, I wanted to wait until the series was complete before I dove in. And now that it is, I will be doing that soon, I believe. I have volumes 1 through 21 of Food Wars, story by Yuto Tsukuda, art by Shun Saeki, coordinator Yuki Morisaki. This one was published by Viz. I have read 2 volumes of this series. I collected these before I put in my 3-volume rule, where I only purchase 3 volumes of a series and read it before deciding whether or not I'm going to purchase any more. I did buy these on a Viz buy 2 get 1 free sale, but all the fan service in this series kind of gets on my nerves. It's eye-rolly a lot of the time for me, but I do really enjoy the recipes, seeing how the food items come together. And in the back of the volumes there are actual recipes, so I enjoy those as well. But the fan service, that's why I haven't read any more of this series. We also watched a couple episodes of the anime just to see if that would be any better for me, but I think that was actually worse. So yeah, since I have these, I do want to read them, and my daughter wants to read them as well. So that's where we are with this one. I have volumes 3, 4, and 5 of Witchcraft Works. This one was published by Vertical and is by Ryu Mizunagi. I have read volumes 1 and 2 from the library, and I found volumes 3, 4, and 5 for a great deal, so I decided to just go ahead and pick them up at the time. This is a series that was interesting to me, and I really do want to get to these volumes. I believe the volume releases are in the mid-teens at this point, so I'm really behind on this. But I was really interested in the story, and I'm looking forward to getting reacquainted with this one. I have volume 1 of Juvenile Orion. This one was published by Broccoli Books. This one is by Sakurako Gokurakuin. Original concept by Broccoli and Marekatsu Nakai. I have not yet read this volume. I have volume 1 of Stepping on Roses, story and art by Rinko Ueda. This one was published by Viz. I have not yet read this volume. I have volume 1 of Yukarism, story and art by Chika Shiomi. This one was published by Viz. I have not yet read this volume. I have volume 1 of Gate 7 by Clamp. This one was published by Dark Horse, and I have not yet read this volume. I have volume 1 of Missions of Love by Emma Toyama. This one was published by Kodansha. I have read this volume. We read it for our manga book club. I have also read volumes 2 and 3 digitally. Borrowed them from my Kindle Unlimited subscription. This is a series that I am really looking forward to reading more of. I believe it has been completely released now, and I believe all of the volumes are available through my Kindle Unlimited subscription, so I'm looking forward to borrowing those soon. I have Be With You, written by Takuji Ichikawa, art by Sai Kawashima, script by Yoko Iino. This one was published by Viz, and I have read this volume. I have volumes 1 and 2 of Kenka Bancho Otome Loves Battle Royale, story and art by Chie Shimada, based on the game created by Spike Chunsoft. This one was published by Viz. I have read these volumes. I believe I read them for Fall into Manga Love in 2020, so if you'd like to hear my thoughts on that, definitely check out my wrap-up. I have also watched the anime adaptation, and I really enjoyed it. I have volumes 1 through 4 of The Young Master's Revenge by Mecha Tanaka. This one was published by Viz. I have not yet read these volumes. I have volumes 1 through 4 of Gung, the Royal Palace. This one was published by Yen Press and is by Park So-hee. I have read this first volume. I have not yet read the rest of them. However, I am very familiar with the Korean drama adaptation, and it's something that I have watched several times. I really enjoy the adaptation. These volumes are rather hard to find, and when I can find them, they are rather expensive. So I think I'm going to need to switch over to digital in order to collect the rest of these, but I am interested in seeing if the adaptation that I'm so familiar with follows the manhwa closely or if it's vastly different. I have the all-in-one edition of Death Note, story by Tsugumi Oba, art by Takeshi Obata. This one is published by Viz. I did start collecting this one in the singles. However, I'm not sure I enjoy the story enough to invest that amount of money in it, so I decided to go ahead and just get the all-in-one edition. I am not sorry that I made that decision. That being said, we have not read through this edition yet. We have watched the anime. And up to a certain point, I really enjoyed it, but after that particular point, it kind of went downhill for me, so I am interested to see how closely the anime follows the manga, but it's not something that's high on my list at this moment. I have volumes 1 through 5 of Visitor by Lee Jung-no. This one was published by Tokyo Pop. I have not yet read these volumes. I have volumes 1, 2, and 3 of The Knockout Makers by Kyoko Hashimoto. This one was published by Tokyo Pop. I have not yet read these volumes. I have volumes 1, 2, and 3 of One by E. Bin. I have not yet read these volumes. I have volumes 1 through 5 of Kill Me, Kiss Me by E. Young Yu. These were published by Tokyo Pop. I have read volumes 1 and 2, I believe. We borrowed them from my library. I really enjoyed it, so I decided to go ahead and add them to my collection, but I have not yet read the rest of the series. I have volumes 1 through 6 of Kakuryō, Bed and Breakfast for Spirits. This one was published by Viz. Art by Wako Ioka. Original story by Midori Yuma. Character design by Laruha. I have read volume 1. I have watched the anime. We read volume 1 for our manga book club when we were meeting. So it's very similar to what I had already watched. This has a very slow release. So I'm not sure when the next volume of this is coming out, but I'm definitely looking forward to it. I have volumes 1 and 2 of the mythical detective Loki Ragnarok by Sakura Kinoshita. This one was published by ADV, and I have not yet read these volumes. You can see that I did pick them up at a library book sale from the bright orange sticker, but yeah, I have not yet read these volumes yet. I have volumes 1 and 2 of Backstage Prince by Kanoko Sakura Koji. This one was published by Viz. I have not yet read these. I have volumes 1 and 2 of Sugar Princess, Skating to Win. This one's by Hisaya Nakajo and was published by Viz. I believe I've only read volume 1 because I had a hard time finding volume 2. But I need to reread this, because I did enjoy what I read at the time that I had read it. It has been a very long time since I have read volume 1 though. I have volumes 1 through 4 of Jim Henson's Return to Labyrinth. This one was published by Tokyo Pop. Story by Jake T. Forbes. Art by Chris Lie. Cover art by Koyu Shure. Now, I had mentioned that the Dark Crystal wasn't one of my favorites. However, Labyrinth is. It is a big favorite of mine. So when I saw these, I had to pick them up. I have not yet read these volumes, but I will definitely be doing that. I have volumes 1 through 9 of Nightmare Inspector by Shin Mashiba. This one was published by Viz. I have read this series. It is one that I really enjoy. However, it was a very hard thing for me to collect all of these volumes, and because I was reading them as I was collecting them, there were long periods in between volumes where I wasn't able to read the next volumes. So continuity was an issue for me with this series. However, I did really enjoy what I read, and I do intend on rereading this one in its entirety shortly, so that I can get a better grasp on the story, because like I said, it was a very long time in between volumes, and I think the longest period of time between volumes was between volumes 8 and 9, which are the last 2 volumes of this series. But really looking forward to my reread of this one. I have volumes 1 through 5 of Tokyo Boys and Girls by Miki Aihara. This one was published by Viz. I have not yet read these volumes. I have volumes 1 through 4 of Hot Gimmick and the Viz Big editions, obviously published by Viz. I have read through this series. At the time, I did find it entertaining. However, the relationship that's portrayed in this series is not a healthy one by any means. I also have Hot Gimmick S, which is a light novel of like an alternate ending, if I'm remembering correctly, for the Hot Gimmick series. This one was by Megumi Nishizaki, original concept by Miki Aihara, translation by Sawaka Kawashima and John Wary. This one was also published by Viz, and I have read through this. I have volumes 1 through 7 of Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind by Hayao Miyazaki, published by Viz. I have read the first 2 volumes of this, but I have not yet read the rest of it. I was supposed to do that last year when Laura from Manga Hoarder was doing her read-along, but I just stopped after volume 2. And actually, up to volume 2 is where I know of this story, because I am very familiar with the anime adaptation. It was my brother's favorite when we were growing up, and I didn't realize that there was so much more story after where that story stopped. So I really do need to finish this series eventually. I have volumes 1 through 4 of Living Room Matsunaga-san by Keiko Iwashita. This one was published by Kodansha. I have not yet read these volumes. I have volumes 1 through 4 of A Polar Bear in Love by Koromo. This one was published by Yen Press. I have not yet read this series because I thought there was one more volume in it, but I can't seem to find anything on that. Volume 5 is noted on Goodreads, but there's no information on it, and I can't seem to find anything else on a volume 5. So I was waiting for that 5th volume to come out before I dug in. I will probably start reading this one soon because it looks super cute. And I really just love white animals in general, so that's what drew me to this title. And yeah, it looks super cute, and I'm looking forward to seeing what this one's all about. I have volume 1 of Land of the Lustrous by Haruko Ichikawa. This one was published by Kodansha. I have not yet read this volume. We were supposed to read it for our manga book club, but that was in the month where things started shutting down last year, and we haven't met since. So I was holding off on reading this, but I don't know when or if the manga book club is ever going to come back. This is a story that I have watched the anime adaptation for, and I really enjoyed it, so I'm looking forward to seeing what the manga brings as far as story past where the anime presented. I have the light novel version of Weathering with You by Makoto Shinkai. This one was published by Yen On. I have not yet read this volume. I also have not watched the anime adaptation, though I did just pick that one up. So I do want to read this first before watching. Just because if I watch before I read, I have a tendency to skip over stuff. So that's where we are with that one. I have this volume of Heaven's Will, story and art by Satoru Takamiya. This one was published by Viz, and I have not yet read this volume. I have volumes 1, 2, and 3 of Transformers the manga. This one was published by Viz. Story by Masumi Kaneda, art by Bon Magami. These are in these beautiful hardback editions. I have not yet read these volumes. However, Transformers is something that I grew up with, so I had to pick these up out of nostalgia's sake. I'm looking forward to seeing what this story brings to the table. I have volumes 4 and 5 of Yozakura Quartet by Suzuhito Yasuda. These were published by Del Rey. I have read volumes 1, 2, and 3 from my library. So when I saw volumes 4 and 5 at a used bookshop, I just decided to pick them up. However, when I read volumes 1, 2, and 3, I was a bit confused with the story, and when I tried to dive into volume 4, I had the same confusion. I think this is a story that I'm going to have to reread from the beginning. It did have an interesting concept to me, but I need to get past the confusion of what's going on in order to decide whether or not I'm going to continue to collect this series or not. I have volume 1 of Beyblade, story and art by Takao Aoki. This one was published by Viz. I have not yet read this volume. I actually believe this is my daughter's. She was very into Beyblades growing up. And I think we had found this volume at a random library book sale and picked it up there. But we never looked into getting any other volumes. So I think I'm going to need to have her read through this volume and see if it's something she's interested in collecting. And last but not least, we have The Witch and the Beast, volumes 1, 2, and 3 by Kosuke Satake. This one was published by Kodansha. I have just recently filmed a manga series sampler video on this. I'm not sure if that will go up before or after this video, but definitely keep an eye out for that so that you can hear my thoughts on this series and whether or not I will be continuing to collect this series. So I said last but not least, but that goes for the singular volumes that I have in my collection. I forgot that I also have box sets that I need to share with you. So, this is my first box set. This is Blackbird by Kanoko Sakura Koji, volumes 1 through 18, published by Viz. You can see that I have not yet opened this box. And that is not because I have not yet read this. I have read this series. I've read it in its entirety from my library, which is what prompted this purchase. It is a series that I really enjoyed, and that's why I decided to add it to my collection. Next up, I have the box set of Ouran High School Host Club, published by Viz. Story and art by Bisco Hattori. I have read the volumes in this box. This is a series that I really enjoyed. We do own and have watched the anime adaptation a few times. We have also seen the live action Japanese drama adaptation and really enjoyed that as well. And now for real, last but not least, we have the box set of A Silent Voice. This one is by Yoshitoki Oima and published by Kodansha. I read the first volume for our manga book club and thought it was very sad. I did watch the movie adaptation and thought that was very sad as well. This is not the type of story that I can just pick up at any time and read. It's definitely one that I need to be in the mood to read, so that is why I have only read the first volume. We're going to do this one as our next series read for the manga book club, as we had read Ouran High School Host Club as our series read. That's how I completed that read in 2020. A Silent Voice was supposed to be our next one, but things shut down and we haven't met up for manga book club. And like I said, I'm not sure if we're ever going to be able to meet again or bring that back. So that is why I haven't read through any more of this series, but I do have it on hand for when I do eventually want to read the rest of the volumes. But like I said, I have watched the movie adaptation, so I kind of know what to expect from this series. So that does it for my manga collection at the end of 2020. As always, let me know down in the comments below if there is a series that you think I should pick up right away. Also, let me know if you'd be interested in seeing what my digital manga collection looks like, because I do also have several volumes digitally. If nothing else, please leave me a book stack emoji down in the comments below, because engagement will definitely help me out. And that is pretty much all I've got for you today. So I hope you're all doing great. I hope you're all safe and healthy. And until next time, take care and smile always. Bye!